One of the most intriguing, creative, and enjoyable areas of the DC comic book universe is the New Gods. Longtime DC Comics readers talk almost reverently of the New Gods, and with a good reason. But the New Gods are also undoubtedly the figures that new fans find the most terrifying and perplexing. They are unapologetically weird and distinctive, taken from a complicated universe with science fiction and fantasy elements. On top of everything else, we utilize them a lot. They commonly appear in our animation and comic books, and it won't be long until they're introduced to the live-action film and television industries. Legendary comic book creator Jack Kirby developed the New Gods, or the Fourth World, which made its first appearance in a trilogy of connected comics he wrote and illustrated that was released in the very early 1970s. New Gods, Forever People, and Mr. Miracle. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Wait, no!
Who are the New Gods? After Ragnarok devastated the world of the ancient gods and classical mythology gods, the New Gods emerged. The cosmos of these well-known deities was divided into two distinct worlds that remained permanently connected but were radically different. The first is known as New Genesis, while the second is Apocalypse. Despite being referred to as twins, these universes couldn't be or appear more different from each other. While Apocalypse is a burnt, nightmarish landscape distinguished by enormous fire pits, New Genesis is a verdant, lush green paradise. Both of these planets are extra-dimensional, hence the Apocalypse on Earth Prime and Earth 2 are identical. Therefore, the Apocalypse forces that invaded Earth 2 in our Earth 2 comic book are the same ones that are currently encroaching on Earth Prime in Darkseid War. However, as they are not part of the multiverse, they must get here using boom tubes, which is a unique kind of transportation. Let's learn more about the various New Gods. Darkseid. The mighty new god, Lord Darkseid, rules the scorching planet of Apocalypse. He commands Steppenwolf, his uncle, to lead his forces as their leader and herald as they conquer neighboring planets and terraform them to resemble Apocalypse. Around 3000 BCE, Darkseid gave Steppenwolf orders to lead his army to Earth in order to use the three mother boxes to turn the world into a warped mirror replica of Apocalypse. The backwater world's troops routed him, and an enraged Darkseid exiled him. Darkseid killed Lois Lane and forced Superman to submit to the anti-life equation in a grim potential future. Only a resistance group headed by Batman was left to fight Darkseid and Superman after they destroyed Earth and took control of the multiverse. Darkseid is one of the universe's most potent personalities. Except for Superman, who has shown to be almost as powerful as him, his immense strength is unmatched by practically anybody. He has repeatedly demonstrated that he is extraordinarily resilient to practically all bodily harm. He can move with almost the same speed and endurance as Superman. Darkseid often stays out of direct combat by employing his lethal Omega Beam. The Omega Beam emanates from Darkseid's eyes as crimson light beams that have the power to harm their targets at will. Beyond the use of his abilities, Darkseid's intellect is a lethal weapon in and of itself. Given his understanding of the anti-life equation, it is assumed that Darkseid has an intelligence of at least a 12th level. He is a patient and clever schemer, gloating over his foes even after they are defeated. Darkseid has a variety of weaponry at his disposal as well. During his second invasion of Earth, he brought an agony matrix and a kryptonite knife.
Given time.
Highfather. Darkseid's adversary Highfather was the head of the New Genesis. Many people died in the conflict between New Genesis and Apocalypse in the distant past. In the end, a deal was reached by Highfather and Darkseid. They traded their respective sons, Scott and Orion, in order to ratify the agreement. Highfather would be able to restrain Orion's wrath, while Scott would resist the influence of Darkseid and Granny Goodness and flee with Big Barda, one of Granny's female Furies. Orion rose to become the most powerful warrior in both worlds, with the power of Darkseid and the values of Highfather. Soldiers from the New Genesis arrived to put an end to the carnage as Darkseid attempted to seize Earth. Darkseid retreated after Highfather ruled that Earth was under his protection. In his pursuit of the anti-life equation, Darkseid persisted in breaking the agreement by invading planets, while the armies of the New Genesis persisted in thwarting him. Darkseid was alerted by Highfather of his knowledge of the Tyrant's objectives when Orion destroyed 2 Apocalyptian cruisers under Steppenwolf's command and sent the flaming ships back to Apocalypse, severely damaging the Tyrant's army and palace. Highfather also warned Darkseid that another breach would break the deal, forcing New Genesis to strike and place Darkseid at a disadvantage. He has incredible control over a type of energy known as the Alpha Effect. His staff, a physical representation of what is beyond and connected to the force of the source itself, is what he generates this with. The staff was originally left powerless by Darkseid, but it has since reconnected with the source and recovered its abilities. Highfather is an immortal with abilities comparable to Darkseid in terms of super strength, endurance, speed, and reflexes. He was a master of weapons and a formidable fighter in hand-to-hand combat like Isaiah. But when he assumed the position of Highfather, he put his martial techniques behind him. Yuga Khan, the founding patriarch and first king of Apocalypse, was Yuga Khan. Although he was one of the most powerful creatures in existence and Apocalypse was the most powerful kingdom in the universe, none of this was sufficient for Yuga Khan. Despite Isaiah's warnings, Yuga Khan attempted to break through the Source World's physical barrier in his quest for total knowledge and power. Still, he was unsuccessful since the barriers were too significant for his might. Yuga Khan's pride caused him to become one of the celestial giants who had been held captive for endless ages in the Promethean galaxy. Hegra, the wife of Yuga Khan, subsequently perished as a result of Darkseid, their son, seizing power over Apocalypse and claiming the throne for himself. Yuga Khan succeeded in releasing himself from his shackles after many years of perseverance. For the purpose of regaining his strength, he devoured the adjacent planet Velos as well as many more worlds. Even more so than his son Darkseid, his re-emergence as a living being posed a menace to life. Following that, Khan damaged a Thanagarian probe station, drawing Lar-Gan's notice and allowing him to intervene to save a few Thanagarians. Khan arrived at Apocalypse after acquiring strength by draining another universe. Yuga Khan was the most potent new god. Darkseid did not dare to face him, which was a proper indication of his might. Khan could travel into hyperspace and to some extent control the source itself. Khan has numerous talents connected to the gigantic creatures of the old world before the advent of the fourth world at the hands of his evil son Euxus. Yuga Khan may have been one of, if not the most powerful old god ever, because he was the first old god of evil existing long before Darkseid assumed the position and was the first user of anti-life.
Finally, the Kryptonian is ours. Master will be pleased.
Desard. One of Darkseid's most devoted adherents is Desard. He helped Steppenwolf invade Earth even though he didn't trust him. The ancient mother boxes awakened shortly after Superman's demise, after having been dormant for countless years. Steppenwolf was therefore dispatched to Earth to bring them back. Although Desard questioned Steppenwolf's allegiance and will to win because of his betrayal of Darkseid, the two occasionally exchanged updates on his progress during the conquest. Steppenwolf's admission that he had learned Earth was home to the anti-life equation caused the astonished Desard to withdraw, allowing Darkseid to speak with his exiled general. Desard later joined Granny Goodness as Darkseid planned to boom tube to Earth, but the Justice League was able to stop them and destroy Steppenwolf. Darkseid instructed Desard to prepare the Apocalyptian Armada for its arrival on Earth in response to Desard's question about his future plans. Desard is resistant to all illnesses and poisons and has a very long lifespan despite the fact that he lacks remarkable powers. He is also more resilient and stronger than a person of his size and build. Desard is acquainted with the workings and resources of the planet because he is Darkseid's closest helper. Desard is a genius weapon creator and expert torturer. Desard has produced many tools and gadgets for torture. The theme park Happy Land, which acted as a jail for his victims, is his most notable accomplishment. They were unaware that Desard's technology had altered how the park's visitors perceived them, and they were distressed by what seemed to be the lack of concern on the part of the patrons towards their plights. Sully. Scientist and sorceress Sully of Apocalypse wed Darkseid in secret against the desires of his mother, Queen Hegra. She eventually gave birth to his son Kalibak. Darkseid was calmed by Sully, and he even started doubting his rabidly ambitious aspirations to rule the cosmos. Sadly, their happy union was not to continue, as Hegra ordered Desard to poison Sully to death because she had rendered Darkseid weak. Her murder hardened Darkseid's heart, and he subsequently ordered Desard to poison Hegra in retaliation for killing Sully. This was done so that he could take over Apocalypse. Darkseid has only ever genuinely loved one person, and that is Sully. Apart from her super strength that comes with being a new god, Sully was also an able sorceress. She had decelerated aging just like other new gods, indicating that they age much slower once they become adults. She is also vulnerable to Radion, like all her new god counterparts. Kalibak. Kalibak is the first child of Darkseid and Sully. Desard, acting on orders from Kalibak's grandmother, Queen Hegra, murders his mother Sully. Kalibak develops into a famous fighter and frequently acts as Darkseid's deputy. Darkseid helps his father in the ensuing fights after he breaches the peace treaty with New Genesis, Kalibak's home planet and competitor to Apocalypse. Having faced off against Orion frequently, Kalibak eventually discovered that the two were actually half-brothers. Darkseid's obvious regard for Orion over his firstborn intensifies Kalibak's already intense animosity for Orion. It has been shown that Kalibak has a delicate side that is entirely concealed behind his gruff demeanor, and that he continuously and nervously keeps hidden because on Apocalypse, any display of weakness is subject to the harshest penalty. Unlike Orion, Kalibak secretly seeks the love and respect of his father, something neither he nor anyone else can ever expect to gain. It has also been revealed that Kalibak has a soft side that is completely submerged under his ferocious facade. Kalibak could withstand the most intense blows from Batman's Hellbat suit, as well as the combined explosions from all of the Batcave's armaments without suffering any obvious damage. Most wounds on Kalibak heal fairly rapidly. He cannot repair lost limbs or harmed organs like the legs, hands or eyes. In case he loses his vision, Kalibak can compensate with the scent of his adversaries. He received training from Wioska, a former Apocalypse military instructor. Kalibak uses an Apocalyptian scythe. He also uses a beta club, a weapon that can hurt even an Apocalyptian new god with its energy blasts. Orion. Orion is Kalibak and Graven's half-brother and Darkseid's second child. In an effort to make peace between New Genesis and Apocalypse, he was exchanged as a kid for scot-free. He was trained to suppress his fury and anger while growing up as Highfather Isaiah's son, which helped him become the most potent warrior either planet has ever seen. Given that his ancestry simmered with the anger of the vicious and merciless Darkseid, this was not a simple feat in and of itself. Orion spent most of his adolescence learning how to manage his evil nature, but as he grew, his companions among the new gods, especially Light Ray, helped him contain his rage. Later, he married Becca, the rebellious Apocalyptian Hemon's daughter, after falling in love with her. Along with Light Ray and Becca, Orion considers Metron, Jezebel, Scot-Free, Big Barda, and Forager to be pals. He is a hero who is devoted to New Genesis principles. Source. His combat prowess and tenacity have earned him the moniker the Dog of War. Orion served the Justice League for 2 stints. At first, he and his comrade Lightray wanted admission to the League. Once the conflict with the Evil Eye was over, they remained in the ranks. He and Big Barda were later sent to the JLA as New Genesis operatives. Their goal was to aid in organizing Earth's heroes to stop the omnipotent Megadon from occurring. He and Barda quit once Megadon was thwarted. The Astro Force, an interdimensional cosmic energy field that Orion controls, and the Fury of the Source, which he draws straight from the Source, serve as the foundation for all of his other abilities. He can heal himself, control matter and energy, create force barriers that can block the effects of Darkseid's Omega beams, and manipulate matter and energy by channeling this energy through his harness or wristbands. At its maximum power, the Astro Force has been said to be capable of displacing planets from their orbits and eliminating the subatomic attractions that keep matter together. One blast of the Astro Force has been shown to be sufficient to turn Slig of the Deep Six into a pile of ashes.
New God. To me, you are 0.5 of nothing.
Metron. Metron is the greatest explorer, scientist, and creator among the new gods. He is on a mission to solve the universe's riddles. He is neither a resident of New Genesis nor Apocalypse, and instead hails from somewhere else entirely, and his origins are obscure. He joins forces with the new gods, although in truth, he is neither good nor bad. His primary motivation for aiding the new gods in their conflict with Darkseid of Apocalypse is his aversion to falling under Darkseid's oppressive reign. This would undoubtedly impede Metron's quest for knowledge. Before Darkseid became the king of Apocalypse, Metron first saw him millennia ago. The X-element, a mysterious substance with teleportation powers created by Hemon, an Apocalypse scientist, captivated Metron. Darkseid gave Metron the element in exchange for his cooperation in using it to build tools that would allow Darkseid to attack New Genesis. Metron contributed to the subsequent battle between New Genesis and Apocalypse because his curiosity overrode any moral concerns. After the warring planets reached a peace agreement, Metron joined the new gods and gave them access to the Boom Tube, a teleportation mechanism, as a goodwill gesture. Young Orion and Lightray, the apparent successors to New Genesis, were friends of Metron's, and when Darkseid ultimately broke the peace treaty, he told Orion the specifics of Darkseid's scheme. A young apprentice by the name of Isaac worked under Metron at that time. Metron was a scientific prodigy with a lifetime's worth of unfathomable knowledge and information at his disposal. He created far too many technical marvels to list them all. Metron created the Mobius chair, a machine that allowed him to freely traverse time, space, and other dimensions. Tractor beams that were strong enough to yank a planet out of its orbit were built into the Mobius chair. Tachyon. Tachyon is the second High Father and head of the good new gods of New Genesis. Josh Saunders, a blind psychologist, was chosen by High Father to transform into a Source elemental and be granted control over the Source because High Father believed he was a man without a purpose and would thus not be forgotten. He is given the title Tachyon of the Source by High Father, who instructs him to purge the Source of a stain. Tachyon was actually High Father's avatar, made as a backup plan in case High Father passed away. Tachyon was able to view everything at that time, including all of his successes and his failures, and time had no limits. He even had the ability to predict High Father's demise. Josh draws the attention of Captain Atom, the Flash, and Green Lantern as he struggles to control the energy that is flowing in and out of the Source through his body. After a brief battle, Josh easily defeats all three heroes and feels as though his immense power levels make him a threat to everyone on Earth. Tachyon is a physical representation of the Source and of High Father's spirit. He acts as a link between the Source and the new gods of New Genesis and their avatar. Tachyon's ability to channel and control existing kinds of energy is only limited by the quantity of energy that already exists in the source. He is unable to produce new energy. Near omnipotence describes Tachyon. He reportedly has the ability to change the spectrum of wave energy signature actively. By rearranging the subatomic particles that make up matter's identity matrix, he appears to be able to change the atomic structure of matter. He could teleport and turn into nothingness at will. He had quantum-level control over subjective time. Mr. Miracle. Isaiah Highfather, the head of New Genesis, and his wife Avia are the parents of Mr. Miracle, aka Scott Free. Highfather consented to their heir swap with the galactic dictator Darkseid as a part of a diplomatic effort to halt a devastating techno-cosmic war against the planet Apocalypse. It was intended that the exchange of heirs as hostages would ensure that neither side would attack the other. Darkseid's second son, Orion, was acquired in exchange for Scott. Despite growing up in one of Granny Goodness's terror orphanages and being unaware of his own background, Scott resisted giving in to the constant torture of the institution's training. As he grew older, Scott resisted Apocalypse's authoritarian worldview. Despite his unwavering resistance to the persecution he endured and his hatred of himself for not fitting in, Scott was persuaded by Metron to envision a world without Darkseid. Scott joined a small group of students being taught in secret by the commander of the Apocalypse resistance, Hemon, a new Genesian hiding out as a hunger dog on Apocalypse. Scott first met Lieutenant Big Barda of Darkseid's female Furies at these gatherings. She would eventually become his wife. With his aging process having halted at the age of 30, Scott Free is essentially immortal. He has also built up an immunity to pollutants and illnesses. His body possesses incredible resilience to severe temperatures, physical injuries, and mental influence, and he is capable of an incredibly quick recovery due to his demanding life on Apocalypse. Scott is an intellectual genius who knows a lot about the cosmos. He received training from Hemon in the science and use of cutting-edge fourth world technology during his time on Apocalypse. He is a brilliant inventor and created the majority of the accessories for his outfit, including his mother box. Scott received Aerotrooper training from Granny Goodness. The Omega energy of Darkseid is the Omega effect, and Scott Free is the successor to the Alpha effect. He could control energy, thanks to his virtually infinite power.
Hero Dunjar!
Big Bear. One of the Forever People is Big Bear. Isaiah, also known as Highfather, the patriarch of the planet New Genesis, conducted a social experiment in which he brought 5 randomly chosen people from various eras of Earth's history to New Genesis. Growing up as close friends, the 5 kids known as Beautiful Dreamer, Moon Rider, Big Bear, Seraphan, and Viking soon started calling themselves the Forever People. Darkseid, the king of Apocalypse, kidnapped Beautiful Dreamer in an effort to locate the anti-life equation inside her brain when he started using the Earth as a battleground in his conflict with New Genesis. The Forever People were able to convince Darkseid to free her with the aid of Superman and the Infinity Man. The primeval inhabitants of Ardon were brought up in a sophisticated civilization resembling Earth's through an experiment carried out by Viking and his mother box. They spent a lot of time with these individuals, and Big Bear wed Beautiful Dreamer. She was a teacher and he was a schoolhouse's library curator. Also, Beautiful Dreamer was carrying a baby, but all those years they spent together in Ardon were forgotten after they had a run-in with the Dark, who rendered them youthful once again while preserving their memories of their adult life in Forever Town. Dreamer thus lost her unborn child. Later, when Maya, the Mother Box's spirit, assists the Forever People in defeating the Dark, she makes amends by sacrificing herself and putting her spirit into Beautiful Dreamer's womb, making her pregnant once again. Being one of the strongest of the New Genesis offspring and a competent hand-to-hand warrior, Big Bear is super strong by human standards, capable of effortlessly bending steel and tossing enormous redwood trunks. Big Bear's atomic structure is reinforced by a steady free flow of so-called high-density atoms. Big Bear can hold excess of free-flowing atoms that he may direct at whim to increase the strength of his already incredible punch. Black Racer. The physical embodiment of the Black Racer, Sergeant Willie Walker, is a disabled Vietnam War veteran who would typically be bedridden. When Darkseid originally initiated the Gods' War on Earth, the Source reached Walker and instructed him to assume the position. The Racer's mode of transportation is what looks to be a pair of skis. At the time of death, the Racer gathers the new gods and transports them to Hades. The Black Racer has the ability to phase through solid objects and instantly kill whoever he chooses to. He flies through the air on 2 heavenly skis that can accelerate to the speed of light and are propelled by the cosmos. His ski poles have the ability to deliver the Black Racer's death stroke by phasing through solid objects. He wears cosmic armor that gives him incredible strength and endurance. Being a divine entity, he is also eternal. The Black Racer returns to Sergeant Willie Walker's unconscious existence after delivering his message of death until he is called again. Infinity Man. The merged form of Forever People is Infinity Man. The beginning of Infinity Man's narrative involves Astor, a formidable warrior from another world who saved the severely burnt Drax, the brother of Darkseid, and treated him till he recovered. Astor transfers Drax his job as the Infinity Man before he dies away from old age. Drax then spends several years training for the part. After assuming the identity of Infinity Man, Drax continues to assist High Father in New Genesis, where he meets the Forever People for the first time and becomes a guardian. The Forever People give Infinity Man unique abilities whenever they need them by touching the mother boxes and repeating the word Taro. The Forever People are sent into a condition of limbo as a result of this ceremony, which lasts until Infinity Man restores their strength. Infinity Man is endowed with almost endless physical prowess, invulnerability, flying, the ability to phase through solid objects, extensive energy and matter manipulation, magnetic abilities, and infinity beams. Telepathy and an enhanced kind of healing are his other abilities. He sums up his abilities when he states that he is from a place where all natural law is bent. Becca. Becca is the child of Hemon, one of the new gods who made the sentient mother box computers and the teleporting boom tubes with fellow scientist Metron after discovering the X element. Hemon is one of the new gods. Becca and her father spent many years hiding out on Apokolips as Hemon orchestrated the clandestine insurrection against Darkseid's oppressive authority. Hemon took extra precautions to keep Becca out of Darkseid's sight because he was being pursued for his involvement in this deliberate insurgence. When Orion unexpectedly entered their life, Hemon never thought that Becca would fall in love with Darkseid's own son. Hemon and Becca helped Orion release his mother Tigra from prison after tending to the injured Dog of War. Darkseid ostensibly killed Hemon for this deed. Becca travels with Orion and Tigra to New Genesis, where her devotion keeps the Dog of War's fury at bay. Like her father, Becca is a talented scientist who has learned how to use and invent her own mother boxes as well as a variety of other New Genesis gadgets, such as a phase shifter device built into her suit that enables her to become invisible and intangible and to cloak the presence of others nearby. She is a capable fighter who is experienced in hand-to-hand combat and is proficient with both New Genesian and Apocalyptian weapons. Her god power focuses on emotional compulsion and manipulation. She is able to bring out and intensify dormant or suppressed emotions in those around her and compel them to act, as happened with Orion and Batman. Steppenwolf. By the command of his nephew and master Lord Darkseid, Steppenwolf led his army to Earth 5,000 years ago with the goal of allowing Apocalyptian priests to utilize the 3 mother boxes to change the world into a distorted mirror image of his home planet. The ancient gods, Green Lanterns, Amazons, Atlanteans, and all other human tribes joined forces to confront him. Steppenwolf's mother boxes were imprisoned before they could change the globe as the tide turned against him. Steppenwolf was exiled from Apokolips for humiliating his monarch after his initial retreat, which brought him shame and disgrace. Steppenwolf and his army of parademons roamed the cosmos for ages, waiting for the day when his mother boxes would alert him. Steppenwolf was informed by transmission from Earth in 2015 that it was helpless and its greatest hero was gone. Steppenwolf was eager for this second opportunity and was getting ready to invade. Steppenwolf and his forces arrived on Earth to retake the mother boxes and the whole planet in the name of Darkseid 2 years after hearing the word. They were stopped though, not just by Earth's revived champion, but also by 5 other individuals that Lex Luthor, the person who delivered the message, forgot to include. Steppenwolf was pulled through a boom tube back to his spacecraft by his parademons, who scented the fear on him and may have killed him before he could terraform Earth and restore his lost glory. Steppenwolf is an immortal with enormous superhuman strength, endurance, and speed. He can effortlessly jump great distances and carry around 10,000 tons. With the help of his combat gear, his level of invulnerability and superhuman reflexes enable him to withstand the majority of physical and energy strikes. He is a skilled military commander who once served as the chief of Apokolips's armed forces. When leading soldiers into combat, he frequently commands units of the Dog Cavalry, which consists of warriors riding giant hounds. Steppenwolf has a variety of weaponry, including a cable snare that he can use to imprison enemies and shoot deadly radion beams from. His electro axe is his primary weapon. He has been honed in countless battles to become a skilled swordsman and a powerful hand-to-hand combatant.
Is where you will die!
Granny Goodness. Granny Goodness was originally a member of the Low Lies, the brutally oppressed peasant class, rather than one of Apokolips's higher-level citizens. Her parents were taken away and she was raised to be one of Darkseid's hounds. Training their dog, which Goodness gave the name Mercy, was one of their training exercises. The two became close via training and warfare. She was instructed to murder her cherished pet as the last part of her introduction into life as a hound. As a substitute, she murdered her trainer for giving the command. She explained to Darkseid, who questioned her reasoning, that to have done otherwise would have deprived my master of a highly important asset, adding that Mercy would follow every command of his. Darkseid gave Mercy the command to murder Goodness as a test. Goodness was attacked by Mercy, who ultimately had to murder her pet. Goodness received high awards and Darkseid was impressed. You have trained Mercy so effectively in my name that perhaps you'll train others who I'll need to submit to blind obedience just as well. Granny Goodness possesses incredible strength and endurance and is practically eternal. She is very strong for her age. She can still handle heavy objects with ease and she can withstand most physical assaults. She is also highly skilled in hand-to-hand fighting. She was one of Darkseid's strongest and most devoted soldiers in her childhood. Granny Goodness is a member of Darkseid's elite and has access to cutting-edge weapons. During battle, she frequently uses a mega rod. She is also an excellent commander and military strategist who oversees soldiers being trained at her orphanages. They include members of the Special Powers Force who wield lethal weapons and frequently have superhuman abilities, as well as flight troops who ride on flying aero discs, armored infantry, and members of the Special Powers Force. Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, Kanto, Veerman Wunderbar, and the Female Furies are some of her most important students. Big Barda. On Apokolips, Barda was born some 250 years ago. Big Breda was her mother, and at a young age, Barda was removed from her to be taught as a fighter at Granny Goodness's home for the orphaned children. Barda is trained by Granny to one day command the Female Fury Battalion, a vicious band of female warriors. Barda, who senses a calm about Scott Free after meeting him during a raid, falls in love. Scott Free is Darkseid's adoptive son. To collaborate with the rebel group commanded by the new god Hemon, Barda puts her own safety in danger. This occurs immediately after Wonderful Wiliki, the local authority, kills the majority of Hemon's group. This includes Orelai, one of Barda's people, who was executed by torture on Apocalypse for dancing. Darkseid personally appeals for Scott to come back, but doesn't really stop him, since if Scott gets away, his conflict with New Genesis might flare up again. Barda stays behind because she isn't emotionally ready to leave herself. Barda eventually abandons Granny Goodness and travels to Earth. Once there, she discovers that Scott has teamed up with Mr. Miracle's small manager Oberon to assume the identity of escape artist Thaddeus Brown. Barda and Oberon become good pals. Barda's furies help Scott with his swordsmanship for a while, but eventually they go back to Apocalypse on their own. The High Father of New Genesis, Scott's biological father, officiates at their wedding. Barda is around Wonder Woman's strength level and has a high level of harm resistance that is almost invulnerable. She has a comparable resistance to illness and the majority of poisons. Barda, a former female fury who Granny Goodness taught, is a master of swordsmanship and simple brawling. When combined with her unrefined power and grit, she is an immediate match for Wonder Woman.
Simply follow the light ray.
Light Ray. Light Ray is a vivacious new god and the bright star of New Genesis. Light Ray is upbeat and enthusiastic, unlike his melancholy companion Orion, who likes to use conflict as a last resort. He avoids enemies by making use of light speed. Light Ray has had one term as a Justice League member. On the same night, when a membership campaign failed to attract further new members, he and Orion joined the worldwide chapter. The two's differences were demonstrated in combat. While Light Ray prefers a minimal amount of fuss in battle, dispatching his adversary Crowbar with a simple expenditure of energy to the man's face, Orion prefers to destroy the pavement surrounding Blackrock, only to become enraged when his opponent gave up after a drawn-out struggle, rather than going to the death. Light Ray can effortlessly raise several tons and has exceptional reflexes, incredible stamina, and a modicum of invulnerability. He can produce and project solar energy and travels at the speed of light or even faster, enabling him to produce dazzling light and extremely high temperatures. He can concentrate solar energy into laser-like beams of light. Light Ray has the ability to produce convincing illusions with his light-based abilities. He has the ability to create a massive solar or nova explosion by using all of his strength. Despite his lack of experience and pacifist nature, Light Ray is a skilled fighter who prefers to employ his solar abilities over hand-to-hand fighting. Kanto. The principal killer for Darkseid is Kanto, Eleuthine. Kanto's name during the time as a pupil of Granny Goodness on Apocalypse is charged with stealing weapons from Darkseid's former master assassin Kanto 13 and others. Eleuthine receives punishment for being caught, not for theft. In the beginning, he easily defeats a horde of rival pupils. Darkseid banishes Eleuthine from Apocalypse to Renaissance-era Earth against the will of Kanto 13. There, under the tutelage of Italian instructors, he receives his training and meets Claudia. Claudia is assassinated at the couple's wedding altar by Kanto 13 when it traces Eleuthine to Earth. Kanto 13 is defeated by Eleuthine in combat. For his failure, Darkseid invades Earth and decimates Kanto 13. As Darkseid's new assassin, Eleuthine returns to Apocalypse. Kanto can lift roughly 50 tons, and with his quick reflexes and speed, he can avoid being hit by lasers and other projectiles. Kanto is very invulnerable, never gets tired, and his mind is impervious to psychic abilities. Kanto is a skilled hand-to-hand fighter and a trained athlete. He is recognized for being a weapon expert, and he is equally skilled at using weapons from the Italian Renaissance on Earth, such as swords and knives, as well as modern weapons developed by Apocalypse scientists. On Apocalypse, Kanto is unmatched as a brilliant planner who develops strategies for hunting and assassinating victims, possibly with the exception of Darkseid himself. Mantis. Mantis leads a colony of human-like insects that migrated from New Genesis. He received enormous power from Darkseid in exchange for his allegiance. He usually spent time in a power pod recharging his energies. Still, he was also capable of absorbing energy that an adversary like a Green Lantern may send his way. Like many Apocalypse residents, Mantis has periodically rebelled against Darkseid while acting as the latter's servant. In order for Darkseid to establish the first secret society of supervillains, Mantis helps. He teams up with Darkseid's son Kalibak after numerous Fourth Age gods are killed. The two fight Superman, He-Man, and the General, the military supremo of the new gods, while in Supertown. The Infinity Man engages in combat as a representative of the Source Wall. After he stuns the Gathering, Mantis and Kalibak are killed by having their hearts removed. Next to only Darkseid himself, Mantis is the second most powerful creature on Apocalypse. Mantis is an energy vampire that can project powerful energy blasts and absorb almost any type of energy or power source, including a power ring and the abilities of a super being. He has the ability to channel any energy against an adversary and even absorb magic. Additionally, Mantis can teleport, open his own boom tubes, and energize objects. With his energy abilities, Mantis can feel and identify energy and as a result, even discover unseen foes. He is able to use his energy blasts to harm even immaterial entities. Lashina. When Big Barda departed Apocalypse for Earth, Lashina became the control of the female Furies. She was reared as a fighter at Granny Goodness's orphanage. Despite staying on Earth at first to help Big Barda and her boyfriend Mr. Miracle, the Furies eventually left to return to Apocalypse to face their punishment for betraying Darkseid. Darkseid then designates Lashina as the female Furies commander, much to the displeasure of the fellow Fury Bernadette. Lashina was deceived by Bernadette while on a mission to capture Glorious Godfrey, a new god who had been imprisoned on Earth, while the female Furies were fleeing via a boom tube. Lashina gets caught in an explosion and launched into the marsh that surrounds Belle Reve Penitentiary. All of the new god's traditional characteristics apply to Lashina. She has an incredibly long lifespan, superhuman strength, immunity to all diseases found on Earth, and resilience to common injuries. Lashina's extraordinary physiology gives her superhuman endurance, and she can lift at least 40 tons. Lashina has had thorough instruction in unarmed fighting. She can readily demolish even metallic items with her electric-charged steel whips, which she utilizes. Grail. The Amazonian assassin Myrina gave birth to Darkseid's daughter in secret at the time, as Diana was born to Hippolyta assisted by Penelope and under the watchful eye of the oracle Menelope. When the baby girl was born, Grail's mother guarded her against Penelope, who had heard the prophecy from Menelope about the havoc the child would bring about as she grew. Myrina was the first Amazon to depart Themyscira after killing Menelope, and she took her kid with her. After a long time had passed, Grail joined forces with the Anti-Monitor and helped him declare war on her father. Grail is the hybrid child of an Amazon and a new god, and as such, she has acquired the skills and talents of both families. Grail feels the Mother Box's presence. Grail inherited her father's Omega effect, or possessed a talent akin to it, capable of damaging the likes of new gods and destroying Wonder Woman's indestructible bracelets. The Green Lantern ring's emerald energy of willpower may be contaminated and corrupted by Grail, which can be extremely painful and harmful to the person wearing the ring. Grail has the power to focus on the Speed Force user's frequency and use them as portals between universes. She has the ability to resuscitate an adversary in a selected host through an old Amazon rite that involves killing an opponent. Through the son of the Syndicate, Grail exploited this to bring her father Darkseid back to life. Grail may call her father Darkseid to wherever she is via a deranged Amazon ceremony that imprisons the evil within one's heart. Bernadette. Granny Goodness's personal soldiers, the female Furies, were led by Bernadette, a cunning hag who wielded a Farron knife that burnt her victims from the inside out. Bernadette was well known and feared by the populace of Apocalypse due to her status as the sister of Darkseid's servant Desard. Bernadette, one of the first Furies to be recruited, detested following orders from others. Bernadette viewed Big Barda's departure for Earth to be with Mr. Miracle as an opportunity to take the reins of leadership herself. But Darkseid gave Lashina control over the Furies as a reward. Bernadette betrayed Lashina whilst on the expedition to get Glorious Godfrey and abandoned her on Earth. Bernadette was able to take control of the Furies as a result. After a protracted and ferocious struggle, Lashina finally broke Bernadette's neck when she and the Suicide Squad returned to Apocalypse. Bernadette is an expert at fighting with her hands. The Farron knife, a supernatural blade created from Darkseid's skin that allows Bernadette to burn her victims from the inside out, is her preferred weapon. The dagger, which was a gift from Bernadette's brother Desard, is claimed to have the strength to slay gods. Beautiful Dreamer. Born on the planet New Genesis, Beautiful Dreamer is a physically gifted individual who belongs to the Forever People. One of the 5 children from Earth selected by High Father to be reared in New Genesis as new gods was Beautiful Dreamer. The 5 youngsters became close friends as they got older and finally started referring to themselves as the Forever People. She was married to Big Bear and had a daughter named Maya. She later married Superman and had 2 children with him, Vara and Lar-El. In addition to having just a little amount of superhuman strength, resistance, and reflexes, Beautiful Dreamer has a very long lifespan. She is an adept fighter in hand-to-hand combat. She also possesses psychic abilities, which allows her to create illusions. She has also experienced the changes occurring within the source. The size and length of these visuals appear to have no boundaries. Mad Harriet. One of the founding members of the female Furies is the hysterical mad woman known as Mad Harriet. Mad Harriet, who fluctuates the most among the gang, is utterly devoted to Darkseid. Granny Goodness was Mad Harriet's trainer. Supergirl fought against Mad Harriet, a group of 3 female Furies sent by Granny Goodness to destroy Metropolis. She lacks a characteristic weapon, unlike the other Furies, and instead chooses to fight only with her claws when she goes crazy. Stomper. One of the most talented kids at Granny Goodness's orphanage was Stomper. Stomper was taught to become one of the first female Furies because of her physical prowess and ruthlessness. She swiftly turned against Big Barda, the former head of the Furies, and assaulted her on Earth as a sign of her devotion to Granny Goodness. To Granny's dismay, Stomper joined Big Barda in Section Zero's infiltration when she returned to Apocalypse. Stomper and the other Furies fled to Earth and helped Mr. Miracle with a number of missions and his career as a stunt performer. They were punished for their treachery when they later traveled back to Apocalypse. Massive and the most potent of the female Furies, Stomper is a woman. Her tremendous strength, resilience, and high level of invulnerability are the foundation of her abilities. Stomper has the strength to lift more than 70 tons and excels in long jumps. Additionally, Stomper is a fierce fighter who employs antimatter boots in a battle to increase the already great power in her legs. She can crush her victims with her antimatter boots, and by stomping on the ground, she may cause earthquakes or tremors. Veerman Wunderbar. A crucial member of Darkseid's elite was Veerman Wunderbar. Because of the Earth-based moniker that Granny Goodness gave him, he partially bases his attitude and plans on the look and accuracy of the Prussian military. Veerman, an Apocalypse native, was raised in Granny Goodness's orphanages just like many of Darkseid's warriors. He is now a servant of Granny Goodness. He is Mr. Miracle's adversary, much like many of his colleagues. Veerman has been involved in several power-grabbing plots, frequently including numerous of Darkseid's henchmen, Dr. Bedlam, Steppenwolf, and Kanto. Dr. Veerman Wunderbar is stronger than any person of his size and build. Although he excels in hand-to-hand fighting, his diminutive stature hinders him, and he prefers to delegate physical battle to his men. He is also a brilliant scientist, talented at creating lethal traps, and a shrewd military tactician.
You can come with us.
Forager doesn't want to leave Forager.
Forager. Foragers people are a society of humanoid bugs that live in colonies under the surface of the planet. They evolved from the micro-life that spread in New Genesis during their conflict with Apocalypse. The Queen Widow and Prime One, two aliens, dominate these colonies. The bugs are seen as belonging to a lesser class in New Genesis and occasionally face persecution from the new gods of the floating metropolis Supertown. Forager was reared among the bug people. Yet despite this, he is not a member of their species and may perhaps be a member of the godly race. His real history is never completely revealed. The colony's leaders dispatch Forager to prey on the gods when the insect society is in danger. He stops Mantis from annihilating the insect species with the aid of Orion and Lightray. Forager still possesses the superhuman strength, endurance, speed, and reflexes of the new gods. Due to the Forager's immense strength, he can effortlessly jump many meters in the air and sprint at a fast rate of speed without becoming tired. Foragers have incredibly lengthy lifespans and are disease resistant. He is also a skilled fighter, having lived the hard life of an insect seeking and surviving. Forager possesses a range of equipment in addition to his natural skills such as a shield, sticky pads on the gloves, and boots that enable him to attach to or climb walls and surfaces, and acid pods, his distinctive weapon that allows him to spew flaming acid streams at his foes. Mark Moonrider. One of Highfather's 5 young people from Earth chosen to be reared in New Genesis was Mark Moonrider. Mina was a local whom Mark had fallen in love with and later married while in Adon. Mary, Wendy, and Starbright were their 3 children. But when the Darkness's activities produced a shift in time, undoing the circumstances that evolved the locals, their marriage no longer existed, leaving Mark with just his friends. They developed into the Forever People as childhood pals. Mark not only lives for a very long time, but also has superhuman strength, reflexes, and resistance to normal injuries. Additionally, he possesses a sharp mind and strong leadership qualities and is skilled in hand-to-hand fighting. He's got a megaton touch. He can make a huge explosion with it, and if he and his friends hadn't made a vow never to murder, there's little question he could use it to kill efficiently. When used lightly, it may provide a powerful jolt. He once transformed a block of solid rock into molten lava with his megaton touch. Vykin the Black. The Forever People included Vykin the Black in their ranks. Mark Moonrider believed that civilizing the inhabitants of the planet would be beneficial when the Forever People became stuck there. Vykin attempted to achieve this using their mother box, but it overflowed and was destroyed, destroying Vykin while also creating Forever Town. Vykin was given new life when the Dark overcame and undid the mother box's effects. On New Genesis, he just met up with his mother Valkyra the Commander, who rode a robotic horse with wings. All of Vykin the Black's physical characteristics are superhuman, and he is practically immortal. Vykin the Black can also project magnetic energy thanks to his magno power. He is adept at tracking because he can visualize atomic patterns. He has an innate understanding of how intricate technology functions, is an expert in hand-to-hand combat, and possesses a sharp mind. Vykin is the one carrying the mother box of the Forever People. Sarah. Sarah was a hurried young woman taking Highfather's gardening course. She gave it her all, yet her plant failed to grow. Highfather developed the shrub larger than any of her peers with the help of a lesson in patience. Orion summoned Highfather, but Sarah was able to overhear the bad news from Apocalypse. Sarah and the rest of the supertown populace were evacuated as a result of Darkseid's assault on New Genesis. She and the other kids were protected by Forager, who subsequently brought them back together with Highfather. Seraphan. Seraphan belonged to the Forever People. Seraphan was one of the 5 young humans chosen by Highfather from various eras in Earth's history to be reared in New Genesis. The Forever People are a group of individuals who grew up as close friends. Seraphan is the group's newest member. Usually, he is the most exposed. When the Dark realized this, it took control of Seraphan and used him to enslave the Forever People and take over Forever Town. He went back to being himself when the Dark was vanquished. Although Seraphan lacks superpowers, he is nevertheless tougher and more resilient than any human. Additionally, Seraphan has some telepathic abilities but is primarily sensitive. Seraphan keeps cosmic cartridges in his hatband that may be used for a variety of tasks. The cartridges may be used, for instance, to power vehicles, stun an opponent, construct protective shock-repelling fields, drain energy from individuals, generate strong gravitational forces or anti-gravity effects, adjust the atomic density, and produce tremendous heat. Additionally, the cartridges tune the user into the cosmic harmony that is connected to the source. In the case of the blue cartridge, this modifies the life force and enables the wielder to merge with a follower and regain his or her own body. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.